Hey guys, Arcade Adam, back with the video you guys have been waiting for. How to install the modern version of Golden Tee. Gotta be honest, it's a little weird doing this video intro and not having to do a voiceover on top of the big box, big old booming startup. But anyway, let's jump in. Get in your browser, go to Google, type in Bluestacks. Go to download, download Bluestacks. Hit save. If you don't know what Bluestacks is, this is going to give it all away right here. Bluestacks is an Android emulator. So what we're going to do today is download an Android emulator and install the Google Play Store and install the mobile version of Golden Tee. I'm sure the rest of you can skip right ahead and figure this out, but now that you know, that's all I did. It's not a bunch of magic. It's not, I don't think, illegal. Definitely not what Incredible Technologies probably had in mind, so we got to watch that. They might see this and kind of mess with us because they probably don't want people using Trackball on their free mobile game. But here we go. We're going to do it anyway. I fast forward a lot of the install for you, but as you saw, simple, super easy, simple. Just keep hitting next. Get to this point, and you want to go to your library over there in the upper left. I've already got a few games in here. You want to just go to the Google Play Store, which will be included, and sign in. You got to make an account. And sometimes, like you saw there, the Google Play Store has to update, so it kind of opens and closes for you. So just like on a regular Android phone, there's just updates all the time. So get signed in. We're going to go through that process real quick here. Yep, I'm going to verify it's me. I'm going to blur things out. Don't want nobody peeking. And two-factor, everybody. Turn on two-factor. Gotta have the multi-factor situation turned on. Anyway, here we go. Google Play. Let's go to the search bar up top and get some Golden Tee. So just type in Golden Tee. Should come right up. There it is. And there's Incredible Technologies Golden Tee app. So we're going to install that. And I fast forward the incredibly boring parts. Give it a second to install, and there she is. So we're going to fire Golden Tee up. And we got, unfortunately, there's more things to download, and we've got to go through the tutorial. So bear with me. I fast forward as much as possible. My computer's actually not this fast. It's the magic of video editing. So that'll take quite a while on some of your machines. But feel free to pause the video whenever you need to, just to get a feel for what's going on. I don't want to make this too long. So anyway, just put in a nickname, whatever. Make your avatar. I'm going to be Elite Golfer 111. And, pick your avatar. Hit play. The other neat thing is if you choose to, I'm not going to show this process, but you can sign in with your Google or Facebook account, and that's how you can do matchups with other online players. So keep that in mind when you're installing. Alright, here's the tutorial. You're going to have to bear with me. Every time you start this up brand new, this is a process you got to go through. So some of this will be boring, but we'll get to the controls part real quick here. So yeah, they're just showing you how to swing, and it's, pretend you're on a phone. You got to swipe down to swing back, and then swipe up to swing forward, and that's it. And then doing it at certain angles will slice your ball left to right. And this also works on the trackball. I know I should have showed that off better in my first video. If you move the trackball or, roll it at an angle left to right, it will slice your ball pretty good, as you're seeing here. It's actually I think it's harder on the mouse to slice your ball. So what they're wanting you to do here is go straight up and down as best as possible and keep it on the green. That's why they made me redo it. And then in a second here, they're going to show you that not all shots are perfectly straight, and we have to rotate. So yeah, I got to pick my gear. I'll pick the gambler hat. And now they want you to rotate, because if you shoot straight forward, you're going to get into the tree. So we don't have a method to rotate. I don't know if you noticed in the tutorial there, it said swipe with 2 fingers. Well, you don't have 2 mice, and if you don't have a touchscreen, it's kind of hard to do. So let's get into the controls, and this is really the secret sauce as to what I did. It's not secret sauce, it's just me playing around with this and figuring it out. So anyway, we want a swipe control. So we need to mimic the touchscreen of a phone. So we need to take one of those controls, the swipe control over here on the right, and drag it onto the screen. And we kind of loosely need to put it where they're expecting you to have your fingers on your phone. And then what we do is we, instead of having the left, right, up, down assigned to these finger actions, we assign it to keys. Now, everybody's arcade control panel is different, and you can assign this to whatever you want. You can even use the joystick if you want. To me, it made more sense to use a button. I have a 6-button layout, so I use my outermost buttons on the top row, so buttons 1 and 3. So if we bring up a standard I-PAC arcade control panel interface, that would be left control and space. Left control to go left, space to go right. So that's what we're going to do. You guys do whatever. You can use, like I said, you can use any button. As long as your buttons are working, your joystick's working, hell, you can use start and select. It doesn't matter. As long as you remember that's the key to go left and right. The original Golden Tee kind of had those buttons, you know, laid out that way, so it kind of translates to, you know, the button 1 and button 3. So that's what we're using. So if you take a look at what we're doing here, you've got a swipe control. Basically, what I figured out through a lot of trial and error is that to simulate 2 fingers, at least the way I figured out how to do it, you need 2 swipe controls because 2 fingers, and they're each going to have the same button. So it's like you're pressing control or space twice, and that's going to simulate the swipe across the screen. So now that we've got that, let's see if it works. And it doesn't. And you can see the reason why. See how my cursor is yellow in the game. My mouse is not controlling the input of the player. I'm not swinging back or moving forward based on my mouse movements. And this is one of the things that took me the longest to figure out. And I've actually got my original images saved so I can come back to this and not forget what I did. So the most important thing is to enable a control to toggle mouse input. So you have to turn off and on the mouse input. So do you want to have the mouse or the trackball select menu items when you have an orange cursor? Or do you want it to control the swing of the player? So that's what we're going to do now. We basically need another control, and that is a tap spot. And the tap spot is the most important part of this, is what makes this all possible. It's basically the flux capacitor. So yeah, and it's also very important where you put it. So these X and Y coordinates are the location, and basically this game expects the tap spot to be top middle of the screen. So everybody's screen's different, everybody's resolution's probably a little different, but I'm running 1920 by 1080 or 1080p, and these X and Y coordinates is what worked for me. So take a look at those, and then the next most important thing is your start stop. So you can see right now it's F1. And if you go back and look at my first video, you notice I'm pressing up on my joystick in between my mouse cursor inputs. So we're going to set that to up position on my joystick. And then that way you've got your hands right there. My left hand can just kind of nudge it to toggle the mouse on and off between swinging at the ball, and the in-player menu system if you want to select a different, you know, T or club or whatever. The next thing we need to pay attention to is the mouse sensitivity. I played around with this just a little bit, not too much, but I found that mouse sensitivity 1 and then sensitivity ratio Y, so the Y-axis, and that's what actually gives you your swing. On my setup, which is an Ultimarc trackball, and I'm pretty sure default Windows mouse settings, 1.5 worked for me. And you want to leave your mouse acceleration to false. Everything else you can leave alone, and that's about it on this screen. But play with your sensitivity. I don't know if you guys watched the first video or not, but if you noticed where all of a sudden it would kind of skip up, or when I hit the ball it kind of double clicks a little bit, and that's really where the sensitivity comes into play. If you leave it at 1, you really got to hammer on your trackball to get this thing maximum 100%. And then that way too, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So some people may like that, but this is the number you want to play with, is the ratio to Y number for sensitivity. And that'll help you change your shots. So let's save that. We'll close our effect controls. We've got our button up there, and now we can toggle with our up position, and we can swing with our mouse. So now we've got our toggle. Okay, post-production, Ninja Edit, timeout, freeze frame. I noticed while I was editing this video, my mouse acceleration actually went to true and I didn't catch that. So do not do that. You want it false. Take a look at this image. These are my settings. I think in the description, I'm going to link a picture or an album art to all my screenshots that are like, you know, like I said, they're like my record to go back and look at how I did this. And you guys can follow along that way instead of pausing the video. Okay, time in. Now let's see if we can go back and get our rotation controls to work. We got to get past these trees to finish the tutorial. So we just had controls set. We have to set the key on both swipe controls. So let's edit these. We've got our up command and tap. We can ignore that. Now let's go back into the swipe controls and set those commands. So on both of these, you want to have the radius at a 5 and the speed at a 10. And again, set the keys, whatever you want on your control panel, but make sure what worked best for me, the radius needs to be a 5, the speed needs to be a 10. Both of the keys need to be the same. So if your right key is control, they both need to say control, and your left key is space in my setup, they both need to be space. So we're just going to test control real quick, and it's working okay. It moved, but it's not perfect. And what you're kind of trying to want to do is think back to, this is a mobile game, so you're trying to simulate 2 fingers going across the screen. So that's not working so great. That's too slow. You know, the original Golden Tee, you can move around much faster. So let's go back in here and see if we can adjust this a little bit to get it working real nice and dialed in. So I'm going to right click on these things. It brings up the menu. See, it didn't save my radius, so that needs to be a 5. So the radius has to be a 5 and the speed has to be a 10. We're going to double check our keys. So like I said, this is my layout, left control and space. So we're going to have control on the right to rotate right, and then space on the left to rotate left. So let's go back in here. And we've got our control on right, and we're going to do space down there. And we're going to edit the other one, so kind of right click again, so it's going to be space for left, and hit save. And then see, now it's still going slow, and I think that's because when I was making this video, I didn't realize it didn't save my radius. So let's go back in here again. It also helps to put them a little bit more centered. So I kind of put them off screen so you can see what's going on, but let's put them more centered and see if that helps. Still a little choppy. And this is why I want to show you this process. I didn't edit this out because I think you guys are going to go through the same thing. It's like very, very specific how you can get this thing to work smoothly. And you'll see a lot of jumping around if you don't get it exactly right. And that's why I wanted to show you this process. Like, it wasn't working for me. So we just keep going back into the controls, tweaking a little bit, because I know some of you won't have the same setup and you can't copy what I've done exactly. So I wanted to show you the process. So like you see here, it's kind of moving around. I'm getting mouse looks. It's being goofy. So in a second here, I'll go back into the controls and I'll double check. And I think what solved it was the radius and speed settings. So I'll move these and I kind of offset them. See, I move it down a little bit to kind of simulate 2 fingers. Go back into the menu. Look at these speed and radius settings because I don't think they saved. Yeah, still 10 and 200. That's not right. So we need speed at 10 and radius at 5. So get that to save. And I gotta go check the other one. X and Y coordinates, probably not as important, but like I said, more centered. So I was going off my notes here, and that's where I had them on my arcade. So kind of almost right in the middle. And then now we've got to save and do the other one. Same thing. 5 and 10 for speed. Set your X and Y coordinates toward the middle, but you still have to offset them because it's got to simulate 2 fingers. So they can't be the same. They can't be right on top of each other. And my space control buttons did save. So we can get back out of here and we'll go test again. Oh, and that's also one other good thing. Just noticed, delete the up and down, because if you're in there with your joystick, up and down is assigned to your toggle, it's going to mess with you. And that's why I was getting that mouse look thing, confused in the beginning there. So delete those keys or set it to a key that doesn't matter, like delete. It's not on your control panel, at least it shouldn't be in the standard setup. So now let's test and let's see what we got. Oh, there we go. Butter. Now we're moving. We got a good rotation. Some might say it's a little too much, but you can dial it in. Don't use my settings. Tweak it better. Like I said, I wanted to share this with people so they can get it out there, use it more than I have, and then come up with even better settings and share that with the community, because that'd be fantastic. And now we got it on the green, so we could choose our shorts. Let's go with the Merlin shorts. Well, it's a fun game. I don't know if you caught my other video, but it's just a lot of fun doing challenges and the head-to-head. So here's the different balls I was talking about. This is the sniper ball. The tutorial goes through picking, different power-ups, and this is one where it just stops dead in its tracks. So as soon as it lands, it's just there, and you're good to go. So that's, it's a free-to-play game. You got to buy that stuff, or you got to earn it through the in-game currency. It's just the nature of the game. So let's keep playing through this tutorial, and that's the basic controls. Like, once you've got those two things, you've got your toggle and your swipe left and right, you can basically use the mouse for everything else. Sure, you can put more controls on your putter and your ball and your T-select, but it's just as easy to toggle the mouse and go over there and click, and you're good to go. So, it depends on your control setup, but like I said, this even works with gamepad controls. Bluestacks works with X input, D input, and keyboard, so you're all set. The last thing we're going to add here is a middle button. So the second button top row is Alt for me, and it's a tap, and it's another tap spot. And then look at the X and Y coordinates and set it to your middle button. And what you do is, once you're rotating left and right, if you get kind of lost or it rotates too much, you double tap that middle button and it recenters you, just like the original Golden Tee machine. So you can get too far right here, and then we'll double tap Alt, and it zips you right back to the hole, so you're good to go. And that's really all the primary controls you need. And we're gonna pick the sandals, obviously, because socks and sandals while you're golfing, right? This is the login system I was talking about before. Just click I agree, pick your poison, Google Play, Facebook, whatever. I'm gonna hit continue as guest, so I don't have to do any more editing on this video. We're gonna collect our prizes for finishing the tutorial. And here we go, we're back to the main menu. So now, I think the last little bits we need to talk about is, well, now you got these ugly things on your screen. You got this Alt button, you got this tap spot. What do you do to get rid of those? So let's go into the campaign, and I'll show you how to eliminate that, and then make this thing full screen. And we'll be good to go. So we'll make sure we're on Novice, go to Hole 1, and we'll load this up. There's that sniper ball we were talking about. And always with the selling. So anyway, here's the the spots on the screen you want to get rid of, and click this little eye here, and there's a transparency slider, so you can make them completely disappear, or you can kind of have them fade in. I always get rid of them, because once you figure this out, you're good to go. And then there you go, press F11 for full screen, or hit the 4 arrows up in the upper right there, and now you've got modern Golden Tee, full screen, full control panel with trackball support. You're good to go. I don't know what's better than this, especially for the price. I mean, come on. It's a free Android game. Hopefully this doesn't get on the radar of Incredible Technologies and they don't mess with us. I really hope they, appreciate the small DIY arcade community, but I can understand if they don't want us to do this, so we'll see where that leads. But right now, guys, have fun. Make some groups online, do some online challenges. I'm not doing so hot here myself in this tutorial because I'm recording this on my desktop, so I don't have a trackball. I'm using my mouse, and it's kind of rough. Much prefer my arcade. But comments about skill aside, let me know if you have any questions. Put them in the comments down below. I hope this was easy enough to follow. Like I said, there's those two main things, is that toggle control to turn your mouse input from menu to swing, and then the swipe controls to go left and right. You can choose to add that middle button for recentering or not, and then you can also add more controls if you want to be able to select different tees and clubs and power-ups without using the trackball, which kind of brings you out of the experience, but kind of breaks the fourth wall kind of thing. But like I said, we're all set. I know we'll probably have a lot of questions and comments, but put them down below. I'm really trying to grow this channel, guys, so hit like and subscribe. Please share this with anybody. I'd really like to see this one get popular so we can get a lot of people playing this game and get some challenges going, and that'd be fantastic. Thanks for watching.